Andrew Rayner, there's not much money about. So do you agree with Gordon Brown that it would be better use of that little money to lift the two-child cap on benefits rather than some of the other ways that you're using it?
Well, I said at the start that this is what we're looking at as part of the Child Task Force. In the round, there's a number of pressures that are on families at the moment.
Philip sees the whole conflict as a single ledger line. One measure could cut child poverty overnight. Rayner responds with process instead of pounds. Make sure you like and subscribe.
But the simplest and most straightforward way would be to give people some money. So do you think lifting the cap on the two-child cap is a good idea or not?
Well, lifting any measures that will alleviate poverty on some of the more poorest families is not a bad idea, but we've got to look at it in the round. There is other pressures as well as that, and that's why we've got a child poverty task force that are looking at those issues. And Trevor, but when I was growing up, let me just... Trevor.
3 times Phillips asks for a decision. 3 times Rayner reviews her task force notes. The silence is more powerful than any oath.
That's a very interesting point, because what you seem to be saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is that, OK, it might be a good idea to lift the cap, but work, good jobs that pay well, are more important than welfare benefits.
I absolutely believe that good, secure, well-paid jobs are the way out of poverty. I've seen it through my life, and I know that it gives people a sense of dignity and respect. I was a mum at 16, and everyone written me off and said, oh, she'll be on benefits all her life, and, you know, she won't be able to help herself. We'll have to help her. I wanted to provide for my son, and many families want that opportunity at the moment, but they find they've got too much month at the end of their wage check at the moment. That's why the Employment Rights Bill is really important, and that's why the work I'm doing to bring down the housing crisis that we have will help to reduce rents and will help to give people that home ownership that they desperately want to attain to.
Rayner comes upon safer ground, her own life narrative. Phillips lets her run, but the suggestion remains, if work rules, why retain the cap?
All right, let's talk about one of the other issues in welfare benefits. And forgive me if I'm a bit aggrieved here. 7 days ago, Nick Thomas-Symonds sat in that seat, and I asked him, is the winter fuel allowance going to be reversed? And he said, no, that remains the policy. And he obviously had no idea the Prime Minister was going to scrap it on Wednesday. When did you find out?
Well, let me just be really clear. The Prime Minister didn't say we're going to scrap it. What the Prime Minister said on Wednesday is when economic conditions allow, and which we're seeing with the fastest growing economy in the G7, and we've already seen 4 interest rates cut since the Chancellor took over, is where those conditions allow. Keir Starmer says we want to do something around the eligibility for winter fuel allowance, and that's what he said, and it will be at the future fiscal event where we'll be able to outline that.
You're notoriously a plain speaker. Speak plainly to me. When will economic conditions allow, do you reckon?
Well, I think that we've got the upcoming spending review, and I'm sure that the Chancellor will set it out when we've got the opportunity. At the first opportunity, Trevor, she will set out what we'll be able to do.
The spending review will be the first opportunity, so we might hear some of those changes in a couple of weeks' time.
I hope so, but I don't know. But I hope so. I mean, the Prime Minister has announced it, so logically to me that indicates that the Prime Minister wants to do something in this area. And if the Prime Minister wants to do that, I'm sure the Chancellor is going to look at how we can achieve that.
Rayner calls the volte-face sequencing. Phillips sees it as anarchy. Viewers still find out whether they can turn on the heating. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Well, let's come on to that. It was reported this week that your department proposed 8 tax rises and 2 benefit changes to the Treasury back in March. Is that true? Did you approve those proposals?
Well, I'm not going to discuss conversations or leaks, Trevor, because that's not how we do government. But what I will say is that it's not rocket science that the Deputy Prime Minister speaks to the Chancellor and talks about fiscal events in the round. Well, I'm not going to discuss conversations or leaks, Trevor, because that's not how we do government. But what I will say is that it's not rocket science that the Deputy Prime Minister speaks to the Chancellor and talks about fiscal events in the round, or that I will pitch for my department. I mean, I could sit here and say, no, it doesn't happen, but do you know what? Most of your viewers will know that it is quite common. It is not OK for leaks to happen, because I think that undermines all of us as a team, and I don't think that's the right thing, and I think it's unfair. But actually, as a team, we do have conversations. It's not a shocker.
In those conversations, do you express the view that the government will need to raise taxes, whether on businesses or individuals this year?
Well, Trevor, I've just told you I have those conversations in private. I'm not going to have those conversations with yourself. I will have those conversations...
It's just you and me, it's bank holiday. Nobody's watching.
Nice try. But no, look, I have conversations with other government ministers. We all do, because we take the responsibility of governing really seriously.
I'm asking you as a matter of...
Well, Trevor, what the Chancellor set out in the budget was some significant tax rises for non-DOMs, VAT on private schools, and that paid for an injection into our schools, and we're now seeing the rollout of breakfast clubs, an injection into our NHS, and we're seeing waiting lists come down. That was a collective decision that we made as a government that I absolutely endorse, and as the economy recovers, we want to put more money into our public services and put more money in the pockets of working people. It's that simple.
I'm only interested...
While Rayner provides the best hits, private schools, non-DOMs, the larger bill stays off stage and Phillips wants clarification on who pays.
The problem is that you are essentially pushing out some of the pain to others. In the spring, the Chancellor toughened up the assessments of personal independence payments. There's arguments about that. Is it now your intention to go further and faster, I think the phrase is these days, by cutting schools' duty to provide for education, health and care plans for children, the EHCPs?
No. What we've said, and I think anyone who's watched Parliament over the last couple of months, because at Prime Minister's Questions will see countless MPs from all different political parties will raise the issue of special educational needs and disabilities. The system is broken, it's not working for those children, and we're looking at how we can support those children best, which many of it is through mainstream. A lot of children are outside of mainstream setting now. What we want to do is provide a package of support that is an early support, because many are having to fight. It's like the golden ticket to get an EHCP plan now, because without it, children are left without the support. Now, what we want to do is put more support in early to help those children have the best start in life.
Well, look, there's a welcome note of clarity. From what I am hearing is that pretty much whatever happens, the EHCPs will not be scrapped.
Well, what we're saying, Trevor, is the system at the moment isn't giving the support to children when they need it most. Many are waiting years and years, having to fight through a tribunal system just to get an EHCP. What we need to do is have an early system of support, and then we can recognise how we're not going to scrap support to children, Trevor. What we're looking at is the best way to provide that support.
Rayner promised change rather than elimination, but she does not exclude changing entitlements. Phillips picks up the faint echo of another cap struggle.
Last time you and I talked, you said that you're not going to let anything get in the way of building your 1.5 million new homes. Well, look, the only part of this country where building registrations has gone down is a place where the need's most acute, and that's London. And the experts say that that's because the new building safety regulator, which was brought in to approve building plans above 80 metres and so on.
After the Grenfell tragedy.
Exactly. That it is basically not getting the approvals through. Last year they approved just 14%. 800 waiting. You're not going to hit your targets unless you do something about that, are you?
No, and that's why I'm doing something about it, Trevor. I spoke to the building safety regulator. We've reviewed what they're up to at the moment. They will bring clarity to what they expect as these developments come through. Part of the challenge is some of it is little small things where, fire doors haven't been identified and therefore it holds it up. So the building safety regulator has pushed back a little bit and said, we need clarity from the applications.
They don't need clarity, they need... So you're going to lean on them. Just very briefly, if I can ask you, lastly on the housing thing. You're threatening builders with...
That's a bit harsh. I'm not threatening them. I'm working with them. I'm challenging them.
OK, some people hope that you are threatening them. But if they sit on land too long, then you're going to do something.
There'll be penalties.
There'll be penalties. Is that wise? Because if the developers can't control their own land, they may decide not to invest in it in the first place. So you actually end up with fewer developments.
No, Trevor, it's a carrot and a stick. So the big carrot I've given them is I've overhauled planning regulations, I've supported on the national planning policy framework, I've got the planning and infrastructure bill, streamlining the process. I'm saying now, don't land bank, don't sit on the land. I want you to, with councils, when you put in a planning application in, you've got to say when you'll be building the homes each year, what units. Then I want you to tell a council when you've done it, when you started doing it, and then I want yearly updates. And if you don't meet your targets, then there'll be penalties.
All right.
It's that simple.
All right.
Safety comes before supply. Phillips counts the delays. Rayner moves between severe fines and simplified design.
If the Labour parties need a rose. Would you like to knock that one on the head?
Yeah, absolutely not. And I don't want to be leader of the Labour Party. I'm very happy and honoured to do the job.
What kind of politician are you? You don't want to be leader of your party?
No, I'm very happy and honoured and to be Deputy Prime Minister of this country. And I've got a lot in my in tray to prove that I can do the job that I'm doing and deliver on the milestones for the people of this country. That's what I'm interested in, Trevor.
You know this is being recorded, don't you? Because actually, that means one day, if you do, somebody's going to play it back to you.
Absolutely. I'll be happy for you to play it back to me. I have no desire to go for the leadership of the Labour Party. My desire is to deliver for the people of this country who have given me opportunities beyond what I could have dreamed of.
Say the word never.
Never.
Rayner slams the door on camera. Phillips closes with the Crown tease. Whether the tape ever runs again is the tale of tomorrow. The through line of Phillips: respond to the basic questions, cap, cash, cutbacks, task forces, future events, and the priority of work, Rayner's refrain. Between them is a ledger just ready for numbers. Let us know what you think down below in the comments.